The Monsters. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Halloween. And
all the kids were calling it Halloweekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I noticed that trending, and I was like, "What is that about?" Like, I guess they have multiple days they get to celebrate and do all kinds of dressing up.
Yeah.
Is this how lots of women have gone from having a birthday to a birthday month or birthday week, something like that?
Can I do that?
I love those added accents there. That's pretty awesome.
Well, you know, Halloween.
I'm going to try that out.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever? Did you ever find that Halloween was a really weird one to explain to your kids as they were growing up? You know, because it has a lot to do with like death and death themes. You know. So, you know, my 3-year-old, he's, you know, this was like the first time he really went trick-or-treating. He was like asking questions like, "Daddy, what's that?" And, you know, I had to explain what a dead body was. You know? And then, you know, he goes, "Daddy, what's that?" And I was like, "Well, you know, there's this guy named Satan." You know, I was like, that's like one of his minions, you know? So I don't know. It's just a really weird, it's a really weird one to explain to your kids, I find, you know?
I tried not to explain it.
Huh?
I tried not to explain anything. It's just like dress up, you know, like
just focus on the candy.
Have fun. Yeah, and bring home them Reese's peanut butter cups to mom, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just dress up, go get candy. It's all good. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, cool. Wow, we have like more than a full house.
Oh, it's crazy.
A nice quorum.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going, David? Ryan?
This just means like no one else had anything better to do than hang out with each other.
That's what it means.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So how's everyone doing?
Well, we got the kids out to school this morning after a sugar high that was never planned. So that's a win for us parents.
And they say today's the teacher's worst, like their worst nightmare, because all the kids are coming to school nice and sugared up.
Actually, my son had the worst meltdown this morning. It was horrible.
He was coming down from that sugar high.
Yeah, well, he didn't eat that much candy, and actually, we ended up running out of candies to distribute to kids, so we just distributed his candy.
How dare you?
That's what you do.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, he has plenty of sweets at home. He doesn't need, 5 years supply of lollipops.
No.
That's just
he disagrees.
We used to be pretty bad. We would, they'd come home with their candy. They'd keep them in buckets, and we would kind of keep our eye on them in the kitchen. And each day we'd take a handful and put them in the trash to whittle it down so they wouldn't know. So they wouldn't eat all of it, because it would be like just way too much candy.
Oh, that's funny.
My
That's
favorite
kind of mean,
is,
but that's what we did, and they still don't know.
What's funnier is when they think that we're not going to find out. So when I go through my little one's closet and I see where she's hiding the candy wrappers, so I decided to grab all of them and I laid it out neatly on her bed with a note. I said, "We're watching," just to mess with her.
Just when you think we're not, we are.
That's good.
It's too funny. Wow, so everybody had nothing better to do than jump on IoT Coffee Talk. That's amazing. This is cool. I don't think we have this many in a long time, right?
Yeah. Pathetic our lives are.
Halloween special.
Halloween special.
Yeah.
Hey, Tom, good to have you back, man. It's been a while.
Thank you. Yeah. To be honest, I wanted to make the effort and come, right? And we were just on another podcast, right? So I thought, there's no way I can turn up for that and not turn up for this one. So,
Yeah.
You guys hanging out with Bonnie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was interesting. It was good.
That was good.
She's great.
Yeah. She is she's quite the character. So
yes.
Yeah.
You had to have your special quote or something, or
yeah. And I actually forgot. I just picked the really cool quote, and then Katie was telling me, it actually needed to be related, and I tried to relate it. So it was just a cool quote from A Bronx Tale, which is a cool film. So
But Bill had the best quote. Bill, you had the best quote, right? That crap won't work.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he'd have something about FOMO.
Oh.
Oh no,
I mean,
not FOMO.
I just had to pick one that was representative of me,
Yeah.
and
Fofa.
that shit'll never work.
Yeah.
Lives.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that is the problem, right? There's a lot of, so, obviously I haven't been on the show for quite some time. It's because I've been going to all these, it's busy season. But yeah, you ask a few tough questions, get under the hood, and you find out, wow, okay, this stuff is not going to happen for a while. No, I'm serious. If people actually knew what I know, which I don't give out for free, by the way, people, I just give you a feel for it. You would be very wary about what you're hearing out there. Seriously, it's just.
Well, here's, you know what, Leonard, here's the thing. Even if you were to tell us two things are going to happen, well, one part of the population doesn't know what to do with information, so status quo. And then the other ones are going to label you like you're absolutely nuts, and where you're saying it's unbelievable, and they're not going to do anything. So either way, nothing happens. So let's go to another 6G conference that I need to know right now what 6G is going to do for me in 2018.
Which I'm going to do, by the way. I'm flying to San Francisco tomorrow.
Look at Rob. Rob's like, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, and I'm going to be moderating a 6G panel.
No, why, Leonard?
Hey, moderate the panel and talk about LTE.
Can you just
look at you guys?
How do you do that when hype? We were just talking about hype.
Oh,
this right here.
Are you mad at me now, Bill? Is that the thing? Are you mad at me?
You just got to set the tone.
You know what? It's just like my parents. The thing that my parents would do to make me feel the worst, it wasn't to be mad. They would just say, you know what? I'm so disappointed.
That's the worst, right? The disappointed is so much worse.
I love using that one. That was a good one.
Well, you know what?
Are you going to ask about the detailed use cases for 6G and what's deployed in the field today?
No, but we already know it's for in-building coverage for WeWork properties.
Oh, well then I guess you won't need very much of it.
Don't want to be part of that business.
That sounds like a 1G problem.
That's a work from home business now.
Didn't they say they're going to probably announce that they're going out of business like in the next week or something?
Oh my God.
Rough.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah. There's some blurb in the news yesterday or something. Yeah.
And Adam Newman just laughing, swimming in that swimming pool of real cash, like real tangible. I cash my stocks out, dinero.
Yeah.
And I think Leonard is inspired by him, which is why he's on creating the hype machine.
100%.
So that he can swim in a bathtub full of cash before lights go out. Yeah.
You know what? That's a good point. I just thought that's genius. You're gonna flip and pick up like so many clients.
What are you talking about?
Bill, not only that,
you're going to be part of defining what 6G is.
Probably. Yeah.
Or is
Yes,
it 6G
and Bill,
WIZ?
you know how Leonard's getting paid with the 32,000 people that the big telco OEM just let go a couple of weeks ago. That's
Ooh.
Leonard's money.
Woo.
I thought he was getting paid in crypto.
You guys are so
Leonard,
mean. Oh my God.
I think the team is aligned. We're trying to keep you from this 6G thing, man. We're just trying to do you a solid right here, man.
Leonard's
Wow,
getting
wow.
6G bullied.
I'm gonna disagree.
No, but
guys even
Leonard, did you
more.
explain that it's a panel about 6G for Industry 5.0?
Oh,
That would
no
be
more
worse.
numbers. No more numbers.
No. Yeah. And so I'm going to disappoint you even more. I volunteered for that panel.
Wow.
Hey, you know what? Something good might come out of it. You know, we had like a pretty in-depth conversation. Actually, it was a pretty heated conversation about AI and its future in 5G. So, that ended up being pretty good. I'm just hoping to recreate it with 6G and figure out where are people's heads at with this stuff, because you know the IMT 2030 stuff is just a joke. I mean, and I said it out loud at 5G Americas, like, who came up with this shit? You know, it's like so high level. You know, and you know what? It's funny because now you see all these podcasts and seminars talking about, okay, what is 6G? What is it going to be? Like, nobody has a clue. You know what I'm saying? Now everyone's now talking about sub terahertz, you know, moving away from terahertz silliness down to sub terahertz. I mean, you know,
What
but
the hell are we
this stuff
connecting?
gels. It's like, what problem are you trying to solve? What are you trying, like, right? What problem are you trying to solve? What are you going to do?
Well, I mean, can somebody tell me where 5G lives? Because I can't find it.
Exactly. There's still no infrastructure for private 5G. And so how are you going to get to 6G with the same infrastructure issues, right? Like it's still, if you want to deploy 5G in a factory, you're going to have to deploy some sort of infrastructure with that. And I haven't seen it yet.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's plenty already to do with just whatever it is that's coming with 5G advanced, and 6G really becomes a big question mark, you know.
Oh, but what about Huawei talking about 5.5G?
I don't like it.
Who has the knife that's doing the network slicing?
Oh,
Oh man, is that Britney Spears meme with a knife?
Oh,
Oh my God.
I mean, I don't know.
no
Anyway,
way.
that's what it is.
No way.
That's what's doing the network slicing.
I heard
Okay.
that was a big Halloween costume idea for a lot of people yesterday.
You guys are making.
You know what?
Britney
I
Spears
think.
knife.
Look, since we're on the topic, I mean, this is, we as a society just have the hype problem, and every time there's a hyped up problem, some people have to come up with a solution for the problem that doesn't exist, but I read about, because our good old friends from Idaho, who were acquired by Rob's previous employer. So now everyone know who I should talk about. Otherwise, I'll bring one of those routers. But they're talking about, hey, you don't need to do like a full-on 5G. We can allocate SIM cards to different parts. And I'm like, oh my God, like we're making this just super complicated. Like, who needs this? But you know what? If it's a real opportunity, if there's a TAM there, everyone's just going to say the way they would deliver the thing with the stuff that's already in the cart. And that's what we get, all these solutions for these problems. And then no one ends up doing anything, because the customer is not stupid and they have 17 ways to potentially do this. And then they just end up upgrading to Wi-Fi 6, which is what they should have done in the first place.
Yeah.
I think you can almost go to a store now and buy Wi-Fi 7 gear. Some of the
Eero. Yes.
Yeah, Eero's already shipping. I think someone else I read is shipping.
Yeah.
Man, it's going to be a hard sell for someone to try to go through all that pain of deploying private 5G when they can just run down to Staples and get Wi-Fi 7 gear that just smokes it.
Yeah.
It's like not even in the same universe of speed, you know? And
Staples.
people understand Wi-Fi. Shit just works.
Yeah.
Throw up some
Right.
APs, baby. You got an AP. You got an AP. Here's your router. You got one. You know what? I've just decided we should rename the show The Hype Machine.
The hype machine.
Because that's what we're really all about.
Yeah.
Dude, but like this, it did get away from us because for a long time. Look, if we go back to the 3GPP release dates that followed 1G, 2G, 3G, for even 5G, there was this like, okay, it makes sense. 5G capabilities. There's a release schedule. I know we were talking about it was either release 17 or 18 that was going to bring like real time synchronized timing for like industrial things. Like, and we were like that is a big thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it got lost. Like there were all this proven way of doing the releases, and then somehow it's like, no, just forget it. Let's figure out this Open RAN thing and 6G to deliver Industry 5.0 on a crypto platform. I'm just
No, you're so right. You're so right. I think
Ugh.
a lot of 5G just got lost. I think it went into a sewer drain or a gutter. It was kind of like, to tie it into Halloween. 5G was kind of going down the little water flowing along the curb there, and they had the little paper boat, and then it goes in, and then 5G looks in there, and it's like, "Hey, Georgie, come here."
Oh, dude, that is like a creepy. That was like
God.
the creepiest scene. Oh my god, dude, you're
I think that's what happened to all the shit.
But it's also we're being this is the Halloween special because hindsight is 2020, and it's like we've known all along. But another crazy thing is there was a lot of 5G kit that was sold and paid for, and I think there were a lot of people that went, "Holy shit, we sold it." Okay, we sold it. So let's ship it, and and then you got to install it, but just don't worry about it. And all the checks got caught up, and then now we've hit the abyss because people are still deploying this stuff. Like there's kit in warehouses being deployed, and they're not going to pick up that phone call to talk to you about the next upgrade to the thing that's sitting in the warehouse that I haven't even taken out of the pallet yet. It's just not happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's a digestion problem. No, there are and there's still some very, very serious problems ahead. So the interesting thing is, hey, look, the reason why I want to I volunteer for this panel is I really want to see what's in the head of these guys, because they're already afraid of me. They know that I'm going to probably ask some freaking hard ass questions, because I did at 5G Americas. I basically said, look, okay, AM 5G, let's cut the bullshit. Let's get straight to it. Where are you guys in using this? Are you, it says network optimization. How far are we? What are the, what do the economics look like? What are those particular applications and functions that you're enabling that are going to be transformative and sobering answers? Do you know what I'm saying? And so I'm, Kieran, who is, with Qualcomm, he already knows. He knows what he's going to get himself into. So, there's a little of that element, going in. It's like, oh shit, Leonard's going to be moderating. So.
But Leonard, when are we going to look at the disaster like by the opportunities? Here's what I mean. I think there's enough evidence that there's not a single consumer out there that gives a crap about the next G. Like, I mean, that is just dead in the water.
Yeah.
No one is going to pay more for it, period,
Nope.
end of story. So if we know that, so therefore the 5G monetization at the end user bit is just dead.
Yeah.
when can we get, to your point, some real economics of like, hey, you know what? We had customer sentiment changed between, when we deploy the strategy, and great, and this is how we're going to do it. Because I sometimes try to catch up to my previous telco life, and when I hear end user monetization, I turn that shit off, man. I'm like, no.
Yeah, no, this is crazy good stuff. What you're talking about, but that's why we need the Pepto-Bismol. That's what we're in search of, right? We got to work on that, but everyone is still focused on this indigestion problem, right? It's like we got to get that laxative in there and get that friggin' hype doo-doo like flushed out of the system. That's really what has to happen. But nobody's focused on that. They're all focused on how do we get the ROI? How do we somehow convert this investment into some radical revenue opportunity and friggin' live up to the hyped TAM? How do we do that? That's what everyone's still focused on. So this whole monetization, 5G monetization, which is frankly, sorry guys, it is a joke. I've sat on in so many of these things. It's just a regurgitation of like crap from like 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's just nonsense, right? But how are you gonna design, or how are you gonna create that laxative that eases the system and then creates that next cycle of digestion? Do you understand what I'm saying? Rob, don't shake your head, man. What the hell?
So many digestive system puns. Like, are we talking about fiber as a laxative? Fiber to the side, fiber to
yeah, exactly. Fiber.
Fiber.
That's actually really good. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
Hey,
only if we had more fiber.
Didn't you guys participate in the whatever the things summit last week? No, I know Brummer was in there. Because you were talking about monetization, and of course Steve Brummer, as always, his session was on how to make money in IoT.
Yeah.
So it's like you too can make money on top of the helium pyramid scheme.
Automotive salesman.
Oh, ultimate. He's awesome.
I tell you, I'm probably horrified. Tiffany Nielsen, who puts all that stuff on. And so my session was the very last one. I was on Friday afternoon. And the last question for me is my predictions, my biggest prediction for IoT in the future, and I said the military. Situational awareness, that's what IoT is. The biggest use case is the military, and kind of went into that. And she kind of had that look of horror on her face, like, oh God, why did he say the military?
Here's your Halloween special.
I know. I was like, hey, there's the world that you want it to be, and then there's the world that it is. And IoT is all about situational awareness. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of military stuff happening these days, I hear rumors about. And so there you go. Boom.
Well, you can't.
Pun intended. Boom. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for the boom. Yeah. We needed that.
Oh, but also probably police as well. You may have noticed that crime is skyrocketing everywhere. And so police use IoT for situational awareness, or to hear things like gunshots, or I don't know.
Yeah. That is actually that's a growing issue.
But tomorrow,
let's treat the symptoms, not the problem.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I will be attending a CTAM's event. I think it's called Think something. CTAM Think. And it's the cable operators in the United States. And so I'll bring back what they're focused on. But I know that just kind of had some pre-calls about it, and they're going to be talking about 5G. They're actually adding mobile subscribers at a much higher rate than the carriers themselves. In some cases. So it's kind of crazy to see, like, why is that happening? What's going on there? And they're talking about private wireless services and other things that, with their MVNO relationships. But again, they go back to, all of them kind of jumped down that path where it was all about content and buying all the cable content TV providers and all the network shows. and now they've pulled back on that. So they also are looking at where do we make money. And so it's been a while since I've kind of touched into that particular the cable operators and what they're thinking. So I'll take back, maybe the week after that I will come back with what's going on with all of those guys, because they're kind of a sleeping giant, and they've always focused on IoT and never really took off. They were trying to do things in smart home. Some things kind of hit, but again, it goes back to their broadband base and the content that they own. The carriers try to buy some of those content, try to be the king of content, and that didn't work for them either. So the cable operators still kind of own that space, and the streaming services has also been a factor. But I'll see what they have.
At some point, you are who you are, and
right.
I mean, they've always been the pipe.
Yeah.
And so be that. I mean, look. Don't try to grow a brain. Be the dumb pipe and deliver the content. Period. It's that simple. You want to monetize it, that's where you're going to monetize it. But no, we're going to monetize the pipe.
Well, I think it's a no-brainer for them to enter some spaces like the factory, right? I mean, the biggest concern a lot of these manufacturers always have is security for outside internet connections. And if you're the broadband operator providing a service to say, hey, this is a secure line, we're giving you a firewall on the edge, or we're monitoring traffic, we're doing user permission approvals, like that's a layup for them, right? Trying to get into 5G, 6G, ag tech, all these other markets where they don't have that channel, it doesn't align with their business.
Right.
Just kind of stay in your zone and add services enabling those other outside services.
They've done okay with the managed offerings that are related to broadband, optimization, services. And but they're also looking at from a pipeline perspective, what are some of the applications and customers on the enterprise side and even the SMB side that they need to be looking at, and what services do they provide to improve that connectivity or to help with visibility or security or monitoring or operations. So again, hoping to dig into that and see what they have going on there. But you're right, Bill. They will continue to go back to what pays the bills.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. You're the pipe. And yes, I get it. When they're sitting there and they've been in this business for 30 plus years, 40 years, 50 years, whatever it is, and you're sitting there wondering, what do our customers want? We got a problem. You've been doing this for this many years. You don't know what your customers want. You don't know what they need.
Exactly.
That's a problem.
But look, it's back to how we are as a society, even like a commercial business society, because how do you innovate? It doesn't come from inside. So what's a big company strategy? You go buy a little startup, you fund a little accelerator, you put your little tentacles here. And when you invest and you take equity in a company, you say, hey, we are partnering with whatever, and we are now a tech company. And when you look behind the scenes, it's like, no, hold on. You invested some money, so you're an investor. Check. There's an exit strategy. So if they sell, you make money, and that's good. Check. But I'm not going to curse. There's a big freaking gap between you investing on cool tech that does amazing things and has a market, and taking that and somehow weave it into the existing DNA of the big corporation. It doesn't work beyond marketing, but we eat that up. And you know who else eats that up, Bill? The stockholders, right? And then you cannot stop that machine, because you want your board seat, so you got to keep the stockholders, you got to keep the other members happy. So you go through the next acquisition and the next investment, and next thing you know, you have no idea who you are, and you
lost your identity.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Let me tell you a funny story from Europe. I will not say the name of the telco from here.
It's Telefonica. Anytime Marc says anything, just listen. It's Telefonica. So,
right.
Give it to us, Marc.
Surprise. So they decide. So it's they decided to do what actually bills say. So what people want? Okay, they want TV. So they decided to acquire a TV with the rights of sports and soccer and basketball and everything, and they pay so much money for that. And I remember being invested by Telefonica at that time and speaking with the guys from innovation, IoT, etc., and they were saying, this is silly, they paid so much money, but the return of investment of that was so quick so seeing that 10 years after, you see that was like the right acquisition they needed, like a TV channel for them. So they could digitalize and create kind of a Netflix competitor thing where people could watch football. So everyone needs to pay their paywall to watch football. And this is now what the telco is converted here, at least in Spain. It's a TV channel where it's a kind of a streaming system.
Well, that's cool because they made an investment in a business and that investment drove profit. Like, that's cool. You're supposed to make money. Just, be open about it. And besides, aren't our friends from the Middle East buying up all of a big chunk of Spain's telco? I was reading this a couple of weeks last week, right? Well, government telco. Let's see how that pans out 5-10 years from now.
Wow. So I remember when AT&T copied them and decided to buy content and networks and stuff like that. And obviously it didn't work out for them. It just almost pulled them right underwater. What a nightmare that was.
Well, that's because in and at least from my perspective, when acquisitions occur, you need to make that acquisition for that purpose and stop trying to consume them. The problem with AT&T and DirecTV was clear. They're not the same. I mean, they're just not. And DirecTV, that's why they spun them back out private. They were like, oh, shit, we don't know what to do with you. You won't do what we
do with HBO.
What do we do with that?
AT&T had a history of dealing with customer service problems and not being able to deliver on customer services. And you pull in DirecTV, and if you're not delivering services, they're hopping, they're fast. Consumers are fickle, and they just lost, like on the operational, the back end side, all of that capability when they consolidated and thought that they could do it and do it well, and they missed the mark. And consumers are like, bye.
They missed the mark huge. I mean, people are
streaming's faster, better.
They're jumping. The one thing that DirecTV had that was very smart that AT&T benefited from was they had these relationships with the professional sports. Mm-hmm. They've lost that to YouTube. Mm-hmm. And
TV for the win.
I mean, that's the whole thing, right? But YouTube did it smart. They're not saying you have to get YouTube TV in order to get the NFL channel. They're saying YouTube TV is something different. We'll compete with these other streaming, service providers. But if you just want NFL, we got you. Mm-hmm. And you have to cater to your market. You have to know where your market is, and you go and you get it. You're not just going to take it over, but you have to understand what 33% market share means to your overall business.
Yeah, I think that consumers were getting frustrated too, where, okay, I get the Disney bundle, but that also includes NFL, so when all those things are kind of piped together, like, I don't want that. I just want this. And YouTube said, you know what, we're going to make it seamless. We're going to make it easy for them to have that choice and not throw in a bunch of other content and they have to pay a premium on that they don't want.
But look, this thing is also coming full circle because, so again, we go back in the day, the DirecTV example, it's $1 million a second. I get 952,000 channels. I only care about one, but it is what it is. And little by little, the internet let us break the bundle, the apps, right? I have Disney, ESPN, whatever. But I think if we now start looking at how many content subscriptions we all have, it probably adds up. So we're going right back where we
Right.
started.
Right back where we started.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd be curious with everyone sitting here. How many, raise your hand, how many have Netflix? How many have Hulu? How many also have a cable provider that you're paying? How many have Amazon Prime? I mean, look at that. We're like 2 to 3. How many have others?
You
Raise your
skip
hand.
Disney, Paramount, Peacock, because I gotta
Paramount.
watch Yellowstone.
So we're like 3 or 4 plus.
Apple
all
TV.
Of us. Yeah, Apple
See,
TV is another one.
but look at, so to that point, Stephanie, look at what T-Mobile did. T-Mobile said, come on over here. We're going to give you Apple TV Plus, and we're going to give you Netflix. I mean, wait a minute. You mean I get this now, even though all I have to do is pay my phone service?
And this is the way it should have been done, instead of say a telco merging with it's like, hey man, do a partnership and tell the customer, hey, here's the deal. If you have this company and this company, you can save $7.50 each, so it's $15 a month, keep it the same. You save billions in executive compensation, merger and acquisition, the army of lawyers. Just that's it. Check this box that you have these services, you get a discount.
Well, it's a win-win, right? And it's very simple. If we partner and we subsidize some of these things, you get your $7, we get more subscribers, you get more subscribers. Did we just win?
Dude, I would love to be in the room, say when a Disney or Hulu, any of these digital native content providers is talking to the telco, and they're going to do a deal, and they ironed out the rev share, who's going to get what, and then someone says, "Hey, boys, girls, ladies, guys, you got to integrate into a billing system." You ever heard of a mainframe?
Heartburn real fast.
No.
I guess when a telco provides things like Apple TV Plus or whatever, they can no longer complain about over the top content and all that crap. It's like you can't have it both ways, guys.
No, but it's a very smart thing. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a very smart thing. Here's what's going to happen, right? You're going to find people that become over the top, because IPTV is over the top. All right. IPTV will answer your questions about your subscriptions. The only thing that's been a challenge across the board with that is the stability of the signal. They'll get that hammered out. But IPTV, there is nothing you cannot get with IPTV.
So, we really need to pull Tom into all this.
Yeah, we do. I was about to say.
And the first thing I'm thinking of is we've been talking about the NFL here. Tom, I've noticed there's an increasing number of NFL football games taking place in your country. What is going on? Do people like it?
I'm just looking at Leonard's cap. Have you watched the Beckham program, Leonard? Are you a fan?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
That's
it's cool.
good. Really good.
It's cool. It's interesting because we have a business around streaming media, and in fact, that was my background before IoT, right? So around set-top boxes and so on. I think there's a few things here. I think the NFL, as you mentioned, right? Yeah, I think at the moment people love that over here. Right? People are watching that. It's in London like quite regularly.
Yeah.
But I think from a content perspective, so that telco partnering with the streaming provider. So the biggest example of that in the UK is Sky with Netflix. So it's like £12 for a Netflix account for UHD, but you can get Sky Stream for £20, right? So actually, it kind of just makes sense. So I think that partnership is absolutely critical. People don't want 4, 5, 6, 7 different subscriptions, and they'll only do it because they're programmed, like David said about Yellowstone being on so on and so forth, right? It's just I think we've just kind of got to that point where it's kind of we're at critical mass. Netflix is struggling for subs now. It's widely reported, which is why they pulled the sharing off. I'm not sure where it's going to go. There's a really good analyst on this called Dan Rayburn, right? I don't know if you guys know Dan, but Dan talks a lot about especially the US pay TV market. But it'd be interesting to see because there's more and more streaming services coming out and paywalls in order to view it. But yeah, you're right. I think partnering, and the telcos partnering with these people to like provide it in the service. So you're not a quad play provider. You're actually quad play plus the streaming services, and it's all wrapped up into one, would work really, really well. But yeah, it's an interesting topic.
Now, and they're also talking about how they're going to start creeping in commercials. So all of those commercial relationships, it's like, okay, let's get them all hooked, and we're losing subscribers. So now what do? We go back to finding ways to insert commercials where we can and have funding coming in from those commercials. Yeah. So it's like, I almost feel like we were talking about coming full circle. I almost feel like that's going to be something else that's going to just slap everyone, and everyone's going to get frustrated again, because we are so spoiled with not having commercials or being able to fast forward or get away from them, that I think that they're going to start requiring some of that to be popped in here and there.
Yeah, one of the things that we actually worked on a few years ago with a business was around interactive overlays, but it never really took off. You don't see it in mainstream, but it was like commercials or ads that popped up mid kind of match, right? And you were able to click, or you were able to get a discount or something like that based upon the action that was actually going on. Because I think kind of, if you look at commercials and just how it's set up, it's quite old-fashioned, right? Really, isn't it? It's quite archaic, It's just like a 3-minute break and, whatever. But actually, the overlays and using the metadata that comes off the back of it and then tailoring the ad specifically, I feel like we're not that advanced on that, and we could be further,
Yeah,
that all exists. The traditional TV was never, it doesn't have the capability to deliver that. Now with the Wi-Fi set-up boxes, there's more granularity. If that, depending on the brand you chose for your TV, it might be sending more data than you want to know, but that's not for today. Yeah. But the
probably
internet connected ads with metadata are quite targeted, thanks to the Instagrams, Facebooks, Twitter, etc. Because what are we doing on our phones? If it's not browsing the things that we want, then it's easier to do. And the ads on TV are definitely getting there, at least for streaming services. And if you're not getting it as you're streaming, you'll get an email offer 5 seconds after the thing ends with something that's relevant anyway.
Yeah,
right.
I wanted to say something really quick. So to tie everything back to IoT, Gartner did have set-top boxes as IoT, an IoT category.
Counts.
So
yes,
we're still within our guardrails.
You were already there, Tom.
Yeah, good. I hope so. But that's the two things I talk about the most is set-top boxes and IoT, right?
6G set-top boxes.
I have one more last NFL tie-in. My favorite meme from last week was this one.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, I can't.
Yeah, there you go. We keep seeing Taylor Swift up in the box there in the Chiefs games.
She's a billionaire now, right? Apparently.
That's what I heard. Yeah. Wow. All those Swifties are pumping some money into her bank account. Yeah.
I know. My husband's even joined in on the game because the game was on, a few days ago, 3-4 days ago. And he's like, turn it on the Taylor Swift show. And I was like, oh, here we go. Everyone's doing that.
If, with a big if, because it's not like I've spent time looking at actual data, but if this whole Taylor Swift and her audience and the guy Travis Kelce, I don't watch football anyway, and his audience, if we can believe that there was a mismatch in NFL versus the Swifties here, the power of customer acquisition that Taylor Swift has brought on to the NFL, it is mind-blowing. And there's no strategist that could have put that together. It just happened. And then folks organically jumped on it. But, there was, things that I was listening to about the jersey sales
merchandise
before Taylor Swift and after. The amount of people watching the game before and after, and specifically the 49ers. it's been, and she's monetizing it, unlike 5G in telcos. She's getting paid for this, for these eyeballs, and I think it's been it's great. It's a great marketing story, and real dollars have been traded.
Yeah.
So I guess Taylor Swift's a bigger deal than 5G.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be, there's probably already, but I can imagine that there's some college classes around the Taylor Swift effect and the economic impact that she has made that are larger than some countries' GDPs, like insane amount of financial studies and research being done on her effect on the economy and the economies of where she puts on her world tour. It's just insane.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, maybe the telcos, or maybe it should be more like the next thing should be the Swift G.
Hype machine rules.
yeah.
If you're not on that Swift G, you ain't doing nothing.
Yeah.
She probably already trademarked that.
But don't say it too loudly, Bill, because here's the thing. Again, Taylor Swift has a huge fan base.
Yep.
There's got to be a handful of products that if she was to do some kind of exclusivity deal, the buying power will show up. But it is so limited in telco, because what are you going to do? No, seriously. Like, if we just were to spitball it, are we going to have a Taylor Swift only plan where you need to sign up with one company? I mean, that might work for your teens, but in reality, if you need coverage everywhere, that's a toss up. Are you going to do it where, hey, show your telco phone and you get first access to tickets? Well, Ticketmaster and Live Nation already have that, so cannot buy it. It's tough, man. It's tough.
I think the smartest thing that we can all do right now is launch an MVNO totally related to Swift and Swifty and Swift G and all that stuff. And
Swift Wireless.
Swift, and because that's what we're good at, is the hype machine, and that's where the money is.
Idea.
And
no one thought that Mint Mobile would take off, right?
I know.
And what about Chime?
Chime?
I mean, we could form a standards body, 3 Swift GPP.
I love it.
And the more bracelets you have, the faster your speeds are.
Exactly.
Hey.
I'm curious, though.
Leonard, this is the Halloween / Swifty episode.
Yeah.
I'm really curious, though. I know a lot of people are curious about Taylor Swift's trajectory. Would it have been different if she didn't have that moment on stage with Kanye? I'm going to let you finish. Did it make it better for her because of the Kanye moment? If that hadn't happened, would she have still been a kind of pseudo country whatever singer?
I think that was more of the decline of Ye than anything else.
Yeah,
that was that. He's like, oh, he's gonna crash and burn.
And
he's like this
in slow motion.
Yeah,
and now he's like,
from grace. Yeah,
yeah, but he's got the best shoes.
Look at Bill.
I don't like them.
I mean, I remember when Adidas decided to drop him, and then they watched all their profits drop like a rock. It's like, what you gonna do? Yeah.
My kids are telling me now, though, like Nike's bigger than Adidas. Like Nike's trending bigger than Adidas.
Well,
there's a lot of
and
they're doing a lot of customization and personalization. You can build they're just really make that personalized service is huge.
But that's all from a market. That's always been the case. Adi has never been close to Nike.
Do you guys have sneaker collections?
No.
Where have you been, girl? You're obviously not on the hype machine, because if you were, you'd be waiting for the latest drop.
Oh, those are Yeezys?
Yeah, these are Yeezys, of course. I mean,
I didn't know if you had some of those Chinese mock-ups that look alike.
No, you got to make sure you check to make sure they're authentic. When you're on StockX or whatever.
They have websites now that you can send a picture of your shoe, and it'll tell you whether it's authentic or not. And you got to give all the different views.
There you go, Jordan.
Nike, yes,
you guys are so bougie, showing off your shoes. Let me show you. Let me show you.
Let me see yours.
No, but hold on. Little backstory so that the image has more impact. A long time ago, I was traveling. I was going to a beach destination. I was at LAX, and I remember that I did not pack flip-flops, and I needed flip-flops. I'm going to the
Chanclas.
and the one shop that had flip-flops charged me. I mean, it was like a $50 or $60 thing, which was a ton of money then. And it's a ton of money now for flip-flops. This is over 10 years ago. I still have the flip-flops and they've come apart.
And they're flipping and flopping.
Oh, dude, my project today, I am gluing these suckers and I'm clamping them in the garage because I need another 10 years of these because I don't have Nike money like you people do.
I'm just saying, you still have to know.
Nice. I like those.
Oh my God.
Are those maroon or purple?
They're mauve.
I like that.
Bill,
Maybe
the
you
next
gotta
time,
go.
Like a
the next
shoe
time,
advertisement.
next time you're in Portland, Oregon, hit me up. That's all I'm going to say. Rob knows what I'm talking about. Just
I'll be there again for Thanksgiving coming up.
if you
I'll be there.
if you
I'm gonna do it. I'll be there soon. Because
when
we got a couple of projects going on out that way.
all right.
When it comes to flip-flops, have you checked out the UFOs flip-flops? They're really spongy, thick. A lot of athletes are wearing them.
You know?
Oh.
Yes, UFOs. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. She's like, I
Yeah.
already had those. He's
Yeah.
like,
How many shoes do you have under the thing?
Where did the thing? Where
Bill has a
Hey,
collection.
in your shoe closet? What the hell, man?
Hey, no, I do have a wall
Or your
dedicated
Hawaiian.
to shoes.
I'm glad we don't have smell-o-vision.
Hey, wait a
It's
minute.
under Hawaii.
These have never even been worn yet. These are those two that I showed you haven't even been worn yet.
I
Okay,
saw,
well,
I saw
some
a
of them
product
look
the
like
other
they've
day.
been worn quite a bit.
You put this thing, I guess, on top of your sock, so it's going to go in the front of your foot. And what this product does is that as you're walking and you're doing what you do with the shoe on, it will prevent the shoe from getting a crease. And I think Bill needs this.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
Game
it's
changer.
out there. It's out there. Like someone.
That's how the kids
Yeah.
are. They don't want to crease in their tennis shoes because they can't get, if they're selling them too later, they don't need to have a crease in them.
Well, that's why I buy two pair.
Hey, what happened? What happened to before we sign off here because we got like 6 minutes left? What happened to the connected shoe? There was like this whole, Nike had like this whole thing with like the freaking, Nike. What is Nike Plus?
No, it's still alive.
Is
Look,
it?
bit of history here.
Okay.
The first iteration of the connected shoe, you had a Bluetooth puck that would go on the
side.
right side on your heel. This wasn't, and what it did, you had an effective step counter, and with some inference, you can get gait, of course, GPS because there's an app on your phone, etc. That was the first iteration. Then came the fuel band, which was and
I had one.
I like that
Actually,
one.
the first
Very uncomfortable.
iteration, David, if you remember, was this Nike thing on the hill connected to the AirPod. What was the name? iPhone? No, iPod.
iPod.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was first because iPhone was still not there.
right, and you had your power song. So it went from a puck to the band. Then they did a deal with Garmin, and this became the basically a Nike app with Garmin. So all of this hardware for runners, very, very successful. And then there was this pause, and the strategic decision was made. Nike pulled out of the hardware ecosystem and just worked really hard on the app. And that app just goes on the smartphone. So you're getting the Nike content. You create your profile, things that are of commercial importance. Depends who you ask. A running shoe shouldn't be used for more than 300 miles. I do 500 on mine, but this keeps, this sensing alert, like, hey, these shoes are coming to the end of their life, sort of thing. So you have all of this digital history for runners on an app, but they started testing this with hardware. So they connect. So, connected shoe. It changed many times. I also did a project with an entire sole that had full of sensors, but now we're looking for, are you pronating, over pronating? Are you a heel striker? Are you a toe striker? But the market was small because not everyone would care for that data. The casual person just wants to know, tell me how far I went. Tell me how fast I went.
That's really interesting point. So, you have these like friggin' data worshippers that think that all data is good data almost. I mean, it almost sounds, the data is oil, guys. But yeah, there's a lot of fine-grained data that you might assume that everybody finds valuable. No one gives a rat's ass about,
And David, I hope and I am sure that you had this crypto project of virtual shoes with Solana, right? Come on, tell us the truth.
I'll tell you over tapas one of these days.
All right, guys. I think we got to wrap it up. Hey, everyone. Thanks for, sticking with us thus far. Before we sign off here, I just want to give thanks to EMQ for their generous donation to elevate our kids. And so, we do have the drive going on. We'd highly appreciate it if you make a donation. Again, if you're not into charity, but you're into fashion, pick up one of our t-shirts. Just go to elevateourkids.org and either make a donation or go and check out the link to the t-shirts. Yeah, we'll love you. Yeah, there you go. That
what
was
do you
awesome.
do, Rob?
And remember to subscribe to IoT Coffee Talk at www.iotcoffeetalk.com. Like, share, tell the whole world about us, how much you love us, and we will reciprocate.
Over and out.
Next week. Bye.
Trust the AI. It never fails.